Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by hashtag.com. Oh, hashtag basketball.com, just hashtag.com. One of those two sites, the one that has to do with basketball, and another site that has to do with basketball, draft.com, where if you go out right now and you like playing daily fantasy basketball, if you go to draft.com and use the promo code BOXES, BOXES, you will get a free entry to your first game after your first deposit. It is my favorite daily fantasy basketball site. I'm your host, Mike Catron, and joining me, as always, is my good friend, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
I just want to know what is on hashtag.com.
I don't know if I want to know. It seems like it could be a real bad internet hole to fall down.
Oh, it is. It's raunchy, man. Don't go.
Oh, it doesn't look good.
Oh, computer's crashing.
My computer got viruses. This is not good. Tyler, I wanna talk about, as we often do, because it's kind of a good, I'd say, case study. In it's hard to do fantasy basketball analysis without having a league to actually talk about. You can talk about guys getting better, getting worse, having more playing time, less playing time, how trades affect certain value, but when it really comes down to it, how your league values players and the waiver wire in your league and the setup of your league is really truly what matters the most. And in our listener league, there was recently a trade.
Oh, man, you threw me off. I thought you were going to go with about how you're falling out of the playoffs this week, Mike.
Oh my God. Really? This again? You bring this up every single show.
Well, I just want you to know that you're hanging on by a thread.
My playoff position is safe. I think what you're worried about is having to play me in the first round and getting knocked out of the playoffs real quick.
Mike, I've beaten you twice already. Haven't we gone over this?
I don't remember you beating me the first time. It was a long time ago.
Well, you clearly do because you said the first time. So
I've had a lot to drink since then. I'm not sure. Not sure that actually happened.
Oh, Michael, you know that I will eliminate you from the playoffs if you even make it. So you might as well just throw your hat in the ring now.
Nope. That's not how I roll. Once Vujovic and our good friend Jimmy Butler, who we are going to talk about later in this trade, the father of LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, gets back to full health. I'm not worried about nothing. But
I ain't worried about nothing.
I ain't worried about nothing. That's right. Kind of not a lot of trades happening in our listener league, and I'm not sure why, but
well, it's because I offer you one like at least once a day, and you always deny me.
I just ignore them. I'm not trading you anybody. I'll trade you Ricky Rubio.
All right, I'm down.
Actually, one of the pieces of advice I gave was I'm going to trade Drew Holiday before Rondo comes back. No one believes. Everybody who listens to it's a listener league. I said it on the show. Then I tried to trade somebody. The guy's like, "Dude, I listened to the podcast." I was like, "Damn it!" Turns out that was a good move. Drew Holiday, not suffering from Rondo at all. So we were a little off with that analysis, but it worked to my favor. But no, I want to talk about this trade. Kind of a interesting timing, I would say. Our playoffs don't start for quite a while. We have a late playoffs, and we're going to do a playoff episode next week where we kind of break down our strategies heading into the playoffs, so you can actually make your playoffs. But I assume if you listen to this podcast, you're probably going to make the playoffs in most of your leagues. But we still got another. Let's see. Let me take a look. Jeez. 1, 2, 4,
I don't know.
8 more weeks until we got like 2 months until our playoffs.
The show I'm excited most for, Michael, is the one where we go back and look at the calls we made this season and how trash they were.
Ooh, that is. You know what? I think we've had a good rate this year. We've missed a few, but I think we've gotten more right than we've gotten wrong this year. I haven't been keeping too close of a track. It's kind of like the listen. If they kept track, someone should keep track of all the dumb hot takes like Stephen A. Smith throws out and see what his rate is, his correct rate.
Did you see the one just yesterday that was like floating around Twitter about 8 years ago. Mel Kiper Jr. said he'd retire if Jimmy Clausen wasn't a great quarterback, and
People
it's
should
like
send him that tweet every day.
it was
Like,
going around Twitter, and like they had the video of him being like him talking about it on draft night, and it was pretty funny.
yeah, I do subscribe to Ice Cold Takes on Twitter, and I suggest other people do too. That is always a good, hilarious waste of time, I guess. Not a waste of time. But no, I want to talk about this trade. It was between the team that is currently in second place, but I think was in maybe third place or fifth place when this trade happened, probably third place. Between the third place team in our league and a team that is in eighth place right now. So kind of a mid-range team who, is trying to get to the playoffs, but is below 500, and a team that's well above 500, probably destined for the playoffs, above 600 actually. So the eighth place team got Brooke Lopez, Danny Green, and Taj Gibson. Okay. The third place team got Kelly Olynyk, Dennis Smith Jr., and Draymond Green. Ooh. I kind of wanted to. I looked at this trade and I go, what was the purpose of this trade? So we wouldn't actually asked the guys who made this trade. We're like, hey guys, why'd you make this trade? To me, it was kind of a confusing trade. Brooke Lopez is pretty worthless. Taj Gibson's good. Danny Green's fine. Dennis Smith Jr.'s Kelly Olynyk's okay. But Draymond Green's like a top player. So I asked him, hey guys, can you explain this? I want to explain on the show. Um, the eighth place team. Is this a bad trade? It's my first time playing fantasy basketball. We should have vetted these guys, Tyler. Um, I'm getting top 40 player in Gibson and Danny Green. I'm not sure if that's true. Um, Especially with Kawhi being out and
You're
betting
reading
that
it wrong. I
and
said
betting that Brooke Lopez will be better than he is now.
I'm getting a top 40 player in Gibson, and Danny Green is going to be better with Kawhi Leonard out.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair. Danny Green, not a top 40 player. Taj Gibson, not sure he's a top 40 player either, but is having a very good season.
I
He's
can
just
tell you what happened here.
it
If you
does look like he got rid of some guys he was going to drop, and Draymond Green, who he wasn't happy with his bad percentages. He wasn't happy with Dennis Smith Jr.'s percentages and Draymond's unavailability, which I think is a little short-sighted personally. But the reasoning isn't as bad as I assumed. What do you think happened here?
Well, I think what happened here is, I mean, you can look at this on there, right? They give these current values, right? And it's like their version of the player rater, kind of. Um,
Yeah,
and so Taj Gibson, by whatever they're using, is probably a top 40 player in this. And the whole reasoning behind that is, right, it takes into account things like uh, players who are terrible free throw shooters, right, get the huge knockdown and they seem like they're worse. Taj Gibson is actually not even the top 40 in this. He's the 57th ranked player according to Yahoo's crazy metrics. But he got a little too bogged down in the numbers, and instead of looking at the stats, he was just looking at arbitrary values Yahoo made, I think.
I think
And
that's a pretty common um, thing to happen, especially if you're just starting out playing fantasy basketball, which this guy is. I'm going to give him a break because this is his first season and it's a fun game. I don't want to tear anybody apart. It's an easy mistake to make. It's a logical mistake to make to say, all right, I'm looking at these average rankings. Those look good. That's how a lot of people base their decisions on. They must be right. And I'm looking at my team night in and night out, and I keep seeing Draymond sitting, and I'm not happy about it. It's easy to get frustrated with the short term. when someone's struggling. Um, I mean, quite a few players have a tale of two halves, where they're terrible and then they're great, or they're great for 2 months and then they fall completely off the map, and then you're like, oh man, this is really depressing. It happens all the time. So
Well,
someone
and
like
this is
Draymond Green, though, I'm not sure is that type of player, but it's easy to get bogged or kind of be like in the short term, be frustrated with somebody, and you combine those things together, and you move for Taj Gibson, who is playing 38 minutes a night and is playing every single night and is very consistent. I mean that seems slightly fair, and then you're trying to get some upside on some guys who Danny Green, Brooke Lopez, probably better than Dennis Smith, Kelly Olynyk. Maybe not Brooke Lopez. I'm completely out on Brooke Lopez, but you're taking a risk. We talk about that all the time. Take a risk, take a chance, and if Brooke Lopez turns around back to old Brooke Lopez, this is going to end up being a good trade. And that's another thing. You can't really analyze a trade until basically the season's over.
yeah, and in Dynasty League, it's hard to do it for 3 or 4 years, right? Like it depends on how long you hold the players on your team before you can really say was that a good trade in hindsight. And it's a lot the same way in the regular NBA, right? Like a trade can seem bad until it doesn't.
Exactly. I saw a lot of people trading or trading for Kawhi Leonard, and I thought that a lot of good deals were had in those Kawhi Leonard trades, but Kawhi Leonard misdiagnosed, might not be playing very much the rest of the season. Anybody who got something back for Kawhi Leonard early in the season is making out like a bandit. So,
I'll say this too. Draymond Green is a player who what he does sometimes gets a little undervalued by a first time fantasy player, right? Like only 11 points. Oh, Draymond doesn't score enough. He seems like kind of the third or fourth best player on his own team, right? So that kind of skews the value
yeah,
in your
like 11
mind.
points really does. I mean, you know what? 11 points pisses me off, even though I really like Draymond Green. 11 points is like, come on, man.
Right, only one 3 pointer, so you're kind of like, percentages like don't jump off the page as like, ooh, those are awesome percentages for a big man, and he's not getting you 10 rebounds, but the 7.5 assists, the 1.3 steals, the 1.3 blocks are huge. Another thing I think that caught this guy in this trade was he missed the fact that he got all of the worst Dennis Smith Jr. numbers, and just like most rookies, those numbers are only going to get better. Sure, he was actively hurting him in three categories, both percentages and turnovers, probably. But you got to think the best is yet to come for Dennis Smith Jr. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 50 player from here to the end of the season. And this guy really ended up making what looks like a very bad trade by
But
just
yeah,
getting caught in some common follies of fantasy, I think.
and that will you live and you learn, right? And in retrospect, this could actually be a great trade. We will not know until the end of the season whether or not, if Brooke Lopez turns it around and Danny Green does, end up being kind of a go-to player on the Spurs all of a sudden. Hell, that's not a bad. That turned out not to be that bad of a trade. If Dennis Smith doesn't continues to play like he has been, um, I'm not sure Dennis Smith Jr. is going to get into the top 50. He's gonna, in my opinion, he's gonna be better, right? He's got to be better, but those are borderline guys who shouldn't even be owned. Um, Now Linux has played his way into being owned in a standard league, but with Hassan Whiteside back, how solid is Kelly Olynyk's place once Whiteside's fully going, which it does look like Hassan Whiteside is finally getting back into the swing of things lately. So it you look at it from first glance and you see Draymond for nobody, and you go, "Oh, well, this is a shady trade. What the hell's going on here?" Then you start breaking it down a little bit logically, and you go, "Okay, well, this isn't." And I've seen so many people post. They see a trade like this and they go, veto that trade. That dude who's in third place is going to get Draymond Green, veto. And that is not how you play fantasy basketball. And feel free to tweet at us, argue with us about this point. Um, you're wrong. you do not veto trades unless there is obvious cheating, obvious collusion. And this is definitely not that.
Dennis Smith Jr. this month, 17.2 points, 1.5 steals, 5.5 rebounds, or 5.5 assists, 3.1 rebounds, 1.4 3-pointers, 42% from the field, 76.5% from the free throw line. I think those numbers only get better. He has a pretty consistent run here where he scored right about 20 points a game. I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of takes over that Magic or that Mavericks offense a little bit, especially if Dirk slowly fades away down the stretch here when they're not playing for much. And he has some really big numbers. So that's something to keep an eye on. He's a guy I'd be trading for if I could.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That rookies like Dennis Smith Jr. will get more playing time in the second half of the season. A lot of those types of rookies are probably guys to keep an eye on. I've definitely picked up John Collins in a handful of leagues where people got tired of him not playing lots of minutes. And it's not going to pay off every night, right? But the other night he had 13 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 26 minutes. So John Collins, once they just start playing him 30 some minutes a night, it's going to be a really, really nice fantasy asset. I'm looking forward to that. And we're coming up on that trade deadline. So, 2 weeks from now, the NBA trade deadline, it's going to be a crazy 2 weeks from here on out. Like, you just know it's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of moves going on in the NBA.
It's always the craziest for about the next 10 days, right? When you hear all the pieces of, ooh, who's this team going to trade? Who's this team going to trade? Who's this team going to trade? And, you hear all the crazy trade machine deals. And then I sometimes feel like you get a little bit of fatigue after that, right? Especially if the trades really aren't happening, oh God, I've heard all this just noise. And then deadline day gets here and you get a couple trades and you feel like, all right, that wasn't so bad. It'll be interesting to see how it changes too, because right, the trade deadline was kind of during the All-Star break last year, and now this year it's a little bit before. So it'll be interesting to see what
it's
effect
usually
that
after
has.
the All-Star break, but then I think the NBA or the players or both got tired of being asked about trades during the entire All-Star break, so I think that's why they moved it. They're like, stop, we don't want to talk about trades, we want to talk about the All-Star game. And it's like, well, nobody wants to talk about the All-Star game, everybody wants to talk about trades, you idiot. So they had to move. I do want to say respect and thanks to Dexter for explaining his trade. You didn't have to do that. And I think that helps. I think that will help a lot of people understand trades. And no respect to the Sloan Ranger for not explaining why he made that trade. No respect for you. Mostly because you're going to be in the playoffs, and I don't respect people in the playoffs.
Because you're not going to be there?
Because I'm not going to be there, that's right.
I knew it.
Basketball news, though, what do we got going on around the league? More Cavs drama. Cavs are always in drama. They are actively shopping for George Hill right now. And it sounds like Tristan Thompson is moving back into the starting lineup over Jay Crowder. Let's talk about that piece first. Is Tristan Thompson's value going to be bumped up enough to be standard league?
Smart move for the team, bad, not a good move for fantasy. I think you'd rather have Jay Crowder playing 32 minutes a night than Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson's never really going to be a super. I mean, he's going to be kind of one of the last players on your standard league roster, like the guy you stream in and out more than he's going to be anyone to hold, I think.
Good news for deeper teams and good news for people who need to stream rebounds, I guess. They'll be nice to see Tristan Thompson getting more minutes and actually being able to provide the amount of rebounds that you would want for someone you would actually pick up off the waiver wire. And in my opinion, I don't know, actually. It might not be that good of news for Kevin Love, who was averaging 9.4 rebounds a game up to this point in the season. And with Tristan Thompson taking some of those rebounds away, I'm not sure if it's going to leave Kevin Love a little bit more open, I guess, but he's not going to probably rebound as much as he has been.
Yeah, I would say it's probably a little bit of a negative for Kevin Love's fantasy value. Not a ton, but a little bit.
Yeah, Kevin Love's actually been a little strange lately. Like hit or miss some really bad dud games out there. And I'm not really sure what's up with him other than it seems like the entire locker room is blaming him for the team losing every single game when Kevin Love's the second best player on the court. So I'm not really sure what the hell any of these players would have to say to Kevin Love. That whole situation is a mess, and that is why they are actively shopping for George Hill. Um, Personally, I would go pick up George Hill and stash him as the trade deadline approaches because I do think George Hill is going to get traded, whether it's to the Cavs or somewhere else. And George Hill starting is a standard league value player.
Well, we thought that going into the season, right? And now he's starting on the Kings, and he's not. I do agree with you
Well,
that
he's
George
starting
Hill.
on the Kings, right? But he's not playing starters minutes on the Kings, and he's also not really in a any sort of system. I don't know what the Kings even run over there, but they certainly weren't getting the ball to George Hill.
Well, and we talked about this, I think,
Yeah.
last time or time before, right? That they kind of made him more of a spot up shooter, and that's really not George Hill's best position. Um, so here's the thing about this whole bit, right? Um, so Shams reported that the Cavs were interested in George Hill. Woj reported that they were working on a deal. That's all possible. I don't know that it works. For a while, I thought this was gonna happen, but when Woj reported that the Cavs won't even put their first round pick
Oh, then it's definitely not going to happen.
into the trade, right? That they're definitely not offering that Brooklyn pick, and they'd be stupid to give up that Brooklyn pick for George Hill, in my opinion. But they need to give their first round pick, or the deal is not going to work. Because the Cavs have to take back Amon Shumpert, Channing Frye, and Jose Calderon. They have to give the Kings those three players in order to make the money work. Because George Hill's contract, Channing Frye and Jose Calderon are fine. They're both done at the end of the year. They'll probably both get bought out. I mean, why would the Kings want those players? Amon Shumpert makes $11 million next year. The Kings don't want to pay him $11 million next year. So I don't see any way they get out of bed and do this deal without a first round pick involved.
Well, there's going to have to be a first round pick involved, and it's going to have to be that Cavs pick. And I think the Cavs are going to move. They look terrible. I just don't know. They got to do something, right?
Here's the other thing too, right? I kind of did an article about this deal, and I said the Kings might do it for multiple second round picks, right? The Cavs don't have those to offer though, because they traded away their second round pick. They've traded away both their picks for next season. So they only have really one second round pick to give them in the near term. So plus the Kings probably figure the Cavs are going to be pretty decent, and they don't want 260th picks. You know what I mean? So I don't know that this deal gets done unless they do decide to up their offer, which according to everything I've heard, they're not doing. But I do think George Hill gets traded. So you want to hear my most likely team now?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It is the Denver Nuggets.
Interesting. Why do you think them?
Okay. The Denver Nuggets want to get rid of Moutier and Kenneth Faried. Can we agree on that?
What year are we talking about? This year or
Yeah.
last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago? Like what year were they trying to get rid of those players?
I mean, so those two, right? They want to move them. Okay. I could see the Kings taking them both.
Ooh,
If the Nuggets gave them a first round pick, I could see Sacramento taking both those players off their hands.
interesting.
And that deal works as far as the money. And it gets Sacramento probably a mid first round pick this year, which is really what the Kings want.
Yeah.
The Kings have money. That's important to remember. George Hill is like their biggest contract. So if they trade away their biggest contract, they can afford to take back some money.
Well, that's exactly what these bad teams should be doing is taking on money and taking on draft picks.
So along with that, right, George Hill is an instant upgrade to the Nuggets bench, right? They don't really have any guard to play off the bench that they're super excited about. So they can kind of run a 3 guard rotation with Murray, Hill, and Gary Harris and just kind of let that roll. I think it makes the Nuggets a lot better team. They also have other options too. They have Wilson Chandler and Darrell Arthur, which are similar contracts to Moutier and Fareed. So they have a lot of ways to make this trade work. Plus, they have some good young players that the Kings might be interested in, and they might be interested in moving. I'm talking about guys like Tyler Lydon, Malik Beasley, right? They're not playing a ton of minutes on the Nuggets, but the Kings might say, oh man, we value this player. Let's throw him in the deal. Give us a first-round pick. We'll take your bad contracts. That's my most likely scenario if I'm betting.
Interesting. I am. I'm still gonna have to go with I'm gonna have to go with the Cavs are gonna do something. The Cavs doing something. I'm gonna rank above the Hill to Denver, but I do like that Hill to Denver. If I'm Kevin Love, I mean, you got to get out of Cleveland. That's to me, if they're gonna do something. But we've said this before. We said this in the last episode when we talked about this. Who's gonna trade for Kevin Love? You're not gonna get 70 cents on the dollar back for Kevin Love. So either way, I do hope George Hill finds a place where he can play 32 minutes a night and be fantasy relevant.
The Cavs they need to ship off some of those players though and get someone who's gonna play some defense. They're not gonna win the championship playing zero defense.
They're not gonna win a playoff series playing zero defense.
And so I do think they make a move too. I just don't think it's George Hill in the sense that, okay, George Hill makes them better, but we've talked about this in the past, right? They have 50 shooting guard / small forward guys who all want to play, and they can't find the minutes for them now. Amon Shumpert, J.R. Smith, Dwayne Wade, Jeff Green, Jay Crowder. Like, they have all these guys, and they can't even find the minutes. Kyle Korver, they can't find the minutes for them now. I don't think that's the deal they make. I do think they find a deal. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a kind of bigger deal where they give away 3 or 4 players and get a couple players back. I'm just not super sure what deal that is they make yet.
Like we said, this is going to be a very, very interesting trade deadline. I mean, off the top of our heads, we could probably name half the teams in the league are probably looking for a trade right now. Like, not just like, calling some people up, seeing what's going on, but more like, if I'm going to keep my job as an owner, I need to move some of these players. And that's going to lead to some desperation. That's going to lead to a lot of trades. And that kind of turnover almost resets the entire fantasy basketball season. So, this second half of the season is going to be completely different than the first half if this trade deadline is as busy and as exciting as I think it's going to be.
Well, and we've seen the last few be pretty good, right? I mean, last year,
yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins got traded. There were a lot of good trades last year. There's been a lot of good interesting trades in the last few. And there's always ones where, like Nurkic last year, right? Nurkic's value went way up. But who went back in the deal the other way? It was Mason Plumlee, whose value went in the toilet. We're going to see that a ton.
Yep, it's going to be very, very interesting. One other piece of semi-newsworthy note, only semi-newsworthy because this continues to linger. Jimmy Butler was out again with a sore right knee, the suspicious sore right knee not playing. If anyone caught the old school classic showdown between Nick Friedel and Tom Thibodeau, for those of you outside of the Bulls Chicago world, Nick Friedel, old beat writer for Chicago Bulls, him and Tibbs used to go at it during pressers, and Nick Friedel asked Tibbs if Jimmy got an MRI, and Thibodeau replied, "Well, he might have got an MRI." And he's like, "Are you serious?" And Tibbs is like, "Nah, his knee is sore." And then there's a nice little video of Nick Friedel dying laughing because Thibodeau's screwing with him, and all the other reporters being like, "What is wrong with this dude?" So check that out somewhere on Twitter. I know I've retweeted it. because it's very funny. But what's not so funny is the fact that Jimmy Butler is still out. What do you make of this? If you're a Jimmy Butler owner, Tyler, what are you doing with this situation?
Well, he supposedly went through some sort of workout practice, shoot around, whatever you want to call it. He warmed up before tonight's game. Supposedly, right? Friedel tweeted that, said this evening that he was warming up, and then they decided to hold him out again. So that's positive. That he's at least getting on the court some. I hate. I'll say this a million times. I hate these sore knee. Like, come on, guys, that's not a thing. You know what's wrong. You're not telling us, but you know.
Could be like a right knee contusion. You know what I mean? That's the same thing.
The good news is this one doesn't seem super bad, but he's missed 4 straight games. So, right?
That's a lot. 4
Um,
games.
it could be a bone. Dude, that's kind of what I've been thinking, right? And some of these bone bruises get wicked. And I think you remember last year, Cody Zeller missed like a month with a bone bruise. Like, yeah. So keep an eye out. There's not a lot of good advice right now, but I would guess Jimmy Butler's back within the next 10 days.
Yeah, and I think it's nice. The All-Star break is coming up, and that will put a nice little pause. So even if Jimmy Butler is out until the All-Star break, he'll be back right after the All-Star break. I don't think he'll be out that long, but if I'm a Jimmy Butler owner, I'm not panicking yet, holding on to him, but I'm definitely keeping an eye out of any information I can get out of the Timberwolves front office about what's going on there. Speaking about guys who are coming back by the All-Star break, reports just in, breaking news, Paul Millsap will be back by the All-Star break. That's great news.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's great news.
I doubt he's available in any serious league, but if he's sitting on a waiver wire somewhere because everyone kind of forgot he existed, which happens more often than you would think, go pick him up.
Hashtag trade Trey Lyles, man.
Ooh, gonna pour one out for Trey Lyles, who's really kind of a nice little fancy piece. We've talked about him over the last few weeks, and we kind of like Trey Lyles, and Trey Lyles will go right back to the bench and go right back to being not worth a damn in standard leagues.
Yes, playing very limited minutes. You have to think with old Millsap back.
Yeah, he'll be sad.
Millsap should be in a little bit better shape than some, in the sense that he had a wrist injury and not a leg injury. Those guys with the leg injuries a lot of times have to build back up a ton, whereas if you have a wrist injury, a lot of times you can do some running and you're not in really, really bad shape, to where he can probably start out playing 20, 25 minutes and then quickly work his way into the 30s.
Yeah, you can stay in shape. It's kind of like the reverse of what Gordon Hayward's doing. A lot of shooting out of a chair. I guess I did just see some video of Gordon Hayward standing up and shooting on a real basketball court. So he wasn't jumping, that's for sure. But he's out there walking around. I don't think Gordon Hayward comes back before the end of the year, before it matters. It'd be interesting if he does sneak in at like the last week of everybody's playoffs. So that would be that'll throw a real wrench into probably quite a few playoff runs if Gordon Hayward just sneaks in at the end of the year.
From what I've heard from everybody, there is no chance he makes it back during the regular season, but some of the Celtics people think he can make it back at some point during the playoffs.
Like, if you're the Celtics, I get like you would want to get him back. They probably kind of play it by ear, right? They kind of go, okay, he might be healthy enough to play, but we're going to play him off the bench, limited minutes. So imagine having Gordon Hayward come in, give you 16 solid minutes off the bench with your second team going against some other team's second team. I mean, that makes that team who's already the the top record in the East that much better. They're going to be dangerous in the playoffs. I think I saw somewhere they're 6-1, 7-1 to win the NBA championship, and I think they're like 11-4 to win the East, and I'd put money on both of those. Why not?
I don't know about the championship, but 11-4 sounds pretty tasty for winning the East.
Yeah, those are good odds. I mean, 7-8 to 1. I'd put some money on it. Weird things happen.
Yeah, and I mean we see it every year, right? A couple players go down on the Warriors. They're not looking so formidable if it's Klay Thompson and Draymond Green.
Yeah, one out of 8 years. You don't think that Celtics team could get a good break? So that just means those odds are better than you would hope if you're betting. Anyway,
I'm
it's gonna
with
be
you.
fun. I can't wait. It's gonna be a fun playoffs. It's gonna be a good NBA playoffs. But speaking of the All Star break, which we were talking about earlier, the draft, the non-televised, highly anticipated player draft between LeBron James and Steph Curry took place. Teams, some good teams. I will be doing my annual bet, get my friends together and eat Chinese food and bet on the All Star game because we are degenerates and we like fantasy basketball. And this little wrench of the draft kind of made it interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think the whole reason they didn't want to televise the draft was that they didn't want the backlash of like, oh, Steph Curry thought this was the best player, LeBron thought this was the best play. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's funny because the 100% reported that players union didn't want it to happen. Then both Curry and LeBron came out and was like, "Man, we should have televised it. It was so much fun." But like, I don't think everybody wants to know that Kevin Love was the last pick by LeBron, or nobody wanted Al Horford on their team. I don't think people want to. I think those certain players didn't want to, because pettiness and drama is what makes the NBA go around. And as a fan, that's all I want to see. Pettiness, drama, and the last month has been full of it. It's been great to be watching the NBA lately. And this would have led to a whole nother round of that. And now, we don't get that benefit, but I get why if I'm a player, I'm not interested in that.
so Kevin Durant had to have been the first pick, right? He had to have been because
I,
Steph picked all the other Warriors.
yeah, he must have. There's no unless Curry went with Draymond first, which I doubt.
Well, LeBron had the first pick, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that true?
I'm almost positive he did.
Then Katie must have went first.
Okay, I think that James picked Kevin Durant. He had to have, because I think Curry would have taken all the Warriors if not.
I think he Curry probably went Harden, and then maybe came back with Giannis, and then Braun probably went AD Cousins. It's a sneaky move.
Dude, he was throwing some love to Cousins the other day on Twitter, so I would not be
Whoa.
surprised.
Oh, really? Old passive aggressive LeBron James throwing love to someone he wants his team to trade for? Who would have thought?
It is interesting though. These teams are interesting. I will say that.
I'm
There's,
excited. I actually think there's going to be a little bit of, like
I
we talked
almost
about this, a
think
little bit of bad blood in the All Star game. It's going to be fun.
I almost think there wasn't a draft though, and someone just put these teams together to like make headlines. Because you notice the two Raptors got teamed up together. The two
Yeah.
Pelicans got teamed up together. LeBron and
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie are on the same team, which we know the storylines there. Kevin Durant and Steph didn't get on the same team, so we know there's a storyline there, right? Like it's almost too good to be true, right?
Yeah, it's a little. I think it's a little suspicious, but I don't know. I also can see the exact opposite, where they sat down in a room. We're like, shit, we have to draft people, and this is the way it came out. You can kind of see the pattern if you look at it.
Well, and like, okay, let's talk about like, okay, name whoever you think the worst player is. Like, if you were starting an NBA team, you'd be pretty stoked to have any of these players.
Yeah, like who would I? If you were, that's two different questions. If you're starting an NBA franchise, which is the player you would want the least out of this group? I think I know the answer to that.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
I was actually going to go with Kyle Lowry.
That's a
Kyle
good
Lowry,
bet too.
he probably only's got a couple more years in him.
But I feel like Aldridge only has a couple more years left too.
Yeah.
Al Horford's near the bottom of that list. Just, I mean, you got to like look at the guys who are a little bit older and a little bit, you know what I mean?
Now,
Just like
if you had to
not.
win if you had to win a championship this year, though, who's the last person you take on this list?
If I had to win a championship this year,
Yeah, that's a tough question.
oh man, that is tough.
Maybe Kevin Love.
Yeah, Kevin Love would be right up there. Bradley Beal, I'd be scared he'd break at some point.
Yeah, Beal's a little scary. Embiid might be is a little too scary
Yeah,
with his health. You maybe could make a argument for Oladipo or Porzingis.
yeah, just haven't really won too much in their whole life.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to get out of them in the finals. John Wall's having a shitty year, so maybe John Wall's at the bottom of that list. But no, me and Tyler wanted to do the same exact thing. I don't know if you want to be Team Steph or Team LeBron. I know which team I want to be, not Team LeBron, because I don't want to be endorsing anything that LeBron's doing.
Oh no, we're team Mike and Tyler. LeBron and Steph are in our player pool.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's a good point. Why we shouldn't have to pick either one of these guys first, but we want to do a fantasy roto 9 cat, not 8 cat like those cheaters, 9 cat draft of the all stars. If we were starting a roto team, and see where this goes. What do you think of that, Tyler?
Let's do it. I'm assuming you already flipped the coin and you won for the first pick.
Yeah, I did.
Because you cheated, like always.
I flipped a coin.
I was very suspicious in this pre-show meeting that there was even a coin. Because he said,
unweighted.
I'm flipping the coin and I never heard any sound. I won.
I caught it. Like you can't hear a coin hit someone's hand.
You can hear someone flipping their finger like that.
No,
like the
no.
coin hitting their finger.
I don't have my good microphone right now. So my old other microphone, you can maybe hear it, but this is my like mediocre microphone.
Oh yeah, likely story. The mediocre microphone.
I'm just saying, it's you got to do what you got to do, and it was an unweighted coin, so it was all fair. There was no shenanigans, and I got to go first. So
there was 2 heads on it, though. I think.
Well, I didn't say anything about that. There's no way of knowing any of that. I'm gonna go first. You get the next 2 picks. So actually, I might rather have the next 2 picks. I'm gonna go with Anthony Davis.
Oh, big mistake already. Anthony Davis will be broken by February 8th,
No.
and you will have no one on your team.
I'm going with Anthony Davis. I'm sorry, but Anthony Davis in a roto league is, just unstoppable. He shoots great percentages, including his free throws, 82% this year. And he does things that really no one else is doing. We've talked about this many times before on this podcast. He's getting double-digit rebounds. He is getting 2 blocks a game and shooting a good free throw percentage and never turning the ball over, like less than 2 turnovers a game. Those 4 things aren't happening anymore in the league. So a guy can do all of those things, including an over a steal a game and score 26.5 points. He is utterly unique when it comes to roto leagues. I'm totally fine and happy with picking Anthony Davis as the first overall pick.
And you've already lost the league
in the draft. Well, all right. Who do you got? You got the second and third picks.
All right, I am taking Steph Curry and Kevin Durant.
Ooh,
I'm going all teammates. Warriors. I'm gonna crush you in many categories already. I feel like I have you already beat in so many categories. It's not even funny.
Well, you don't. That's absurd. It's an absurd thing to say.
I've already won free throws. I'm beating you in blocks. I feel like I've got this assist locked up.
It sounds like that's what you think.
3-pointers, that's over. I got that one.
Hmm. Okay, so Katie and Curry, that's pretty good. You got your great forward, you got your great guard. Your percentages are good. Your free throws are great. Especially with the volume those guys shoot. I like that. Your blocks are a little weak. Anthony Davis is still beating them single-handedly. And he's also, I think, beating them single-handedly in rebounds. So,
How
yeah.
is Kevin Durant is blocking more shots than Anthony
Oh,
Davis
that's
this
right.
season?
You know what? You're right.
I don't know if you know this or
I was
not.
looking at
I mean, maybe
something
you haven't
else.
tuned in. Yay.
I might have given you a different player, and then I might have given you Miles Plumlee instead of Kevin Durant. But
Oh, sure, yeah. This two-sided coin is coming back, huh?
listen. I am the commissioner of this league, so you're gonna have to deal with that too. All right, I like those picks. Those are good picks. Those are very good picks. Whew. All right, for picks 4 and 5. I did not do my homework on this.
I
I'm
told you
gonna
I'm
go
gonna win
with
this, Michael. Like
you might
always.
you actually might do it. I actually think I got this though because I'm gonna go with and LeBron James. Both
You
these.
cut out LeBron James, and LeBron James is who you're going
I know
with?
James Harden and LeBron James.
Oh
These
man, big mistake. You've
No, these are
lost turnovers
what are
now.
what are you talking about? Westbrook is still out there, so either I grab Westbrook and I punt turnovers, or you get Westbrook, and we're in the exact same spot. So I'm not worried about this at all. Um, yeah, those turnovers kill me, but Anthony Davis brings that turnover ratio down a little bit. But here's what I like about these two picks, right? James Harden is shooting and making just as many threes as Steph Curry. He's getting more assists. He's getting as many rebounds as Steph Curry. He's getting, um, he's having a fantastic year. Obviously, he might win the MVP this year, and I just don't know how you can go wrong with James Harden, who's also going to be great at the volume of free throws he's making, and then you throw in a forward, LeBron freaking James, who's going to get 8 rebounds and 8.5 assists, shooting crazy field goal. My field goal is killing your field goal, even with James Harden shooting 45%. Well,
Yeah, but see,
maybe it's not killing your field goal, but it's
Anthony
it's
Davis is
pretty
going
good.
to be hurt. LeBron, he's going to be resting some games down the stretch. My Warriors are going to be flying up those three balls. I feel
James
like
Harden's going to be suspended for beating up all the Clippers.
I've got you on the ropes already, Michael. You're on the
Listen,
ropes.
you're talking about a lot of intangibles, and I'm talking about stats, and these guys get stats. I like my team so far. I got AD and LeBron James as my forwards and Harden as my guard. So next two picks are yours.
Oh, I am going to take the Greek freak himself,
Ooh, an
Giannis
excellent,
Antetokounmpo. Right?
excellent pick.
I've dominated you now. I feel like he's just meshed very well with my team. I feel like I am well ahead. Now, this is where things start to get interesting, right?
Not a good 3-point shooter, but you've made up for that with both Curry and KD.
Because we have some players, especially in roto leagues, where like some of these guys are real good in head to head, but they're not so good in roto, right? Like guys like DeMarcus Cousins, a little bit not as good in a roto league. Kyrie Irving, kind of not as good in a roto league. Victor Oladipo may be the best roto player left.
Ooh, wow.
Now,
Interesting.
I'm not sure that that's the pick I'm going to make, but that may be the next best roto player left.
I'm gonna disagree, but he not by much. Victor Oladipo has been great for me in my roto leagues. Is playing incredibly well. I, I you're not gonna go wrong with that pick.
But I'm going to go with the anchor on my team,
Oh,
the big man. It's Boogie Cousins.
damn it! Don't do it to me, Tyler. You did it.
That was a curveball. See, I told you I was going to crush you in this draft, and you kept telling me I wasn't. But I feel like I've already won. I feel like
Yeah.
my starting five dominates your starting five.
I don't know. A lot of turnovers coming out of Boogie Cousins' home court. You're talking crap about my turnovers. Look at you.
I don't know, man. I still feel like I'm winning turnovers against you.
I don't think so. Um,
Well, when you pick Russ Westbrook here, I'll be well ahead in turnovers, so I will not have to worry.
you know what? I'm considering it. Man, I was gonna get you, and I was gonna go Cousins and this pick, who I'm definitely gonna be picking next is Carl Anthony Towns. Hot Carl is a fantastic
Oh,
road
dude, I
player.
won. It's
My
over.
turnovers just dropped
Dude, Carl Anthony
significantly.
Towns is not even an all-star, son.
What? Yes, he is.
Dude, look it up, bro.
What?
You Carl Anthony Towns. Is that a win? He's not even an
Did I
all-star.
did I write these? No way. I thought he got voted in.
Oh, yes, he did. I'm messing with you, Michael. I almost had you there. I almost had you. It was
Listen,
this close.
I took a quick look. I took a quick look at the rosters, and then I didn't see. Then I looked again. I was like, "Where's Cat?" I don't see anyone who wrote Cat down. Yeah, Towns is a fantastic nine cat player. You know what? This is probably the guy who scores the least out of anyone who's been picked so far. So that's a little bit of a detriment to my team. But I have Harden and LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That's great. He doesn't turn the ball over. His percentages are high. I got you in percentages now. And Karl Anthony Towns does things that other players don't. He's hitting threes. He's getting rebounds. He's getting blocks. I'm since I'm getting assists from my forward LeBron James, there's plenty of room in my guard spot for another guy who gets assists because I think I'm a little low on assists here. I'm not worried about this. I'm going to go with Cat Daddy. I think this is a tough one because you were talking a lot of sense about Victor Oladipo.
But the question is, can he keep it up, right? We've seen Victor Oladipo play really well for a long stretch of games, and then in that same season, play not so well for a long stretch of games.
That's true.
So that's a very like if we're talking like from the rest of the season forward, that's a very risky kind of pick because of all maybe all these all stars, we've seen Victor Oladipo have the worst like 40-game stretch out of just about any of them in the last few years.
Yeah, that is 100% true. Oof. What to do? What to do? Well, you went with Giannis, and I got LeBron. Neither one of those guys are good free throw shooters. But if you really want to tank your free throws, you go with Westbrook. And the question is it worth tanking my free throws to get a guy who's averaging a triple double, pretty close to a triple double? The answer might
So
be yes.
Westbrook is a very kind of divisive roto player these days, right?
It's true.
Because he's pretty bad in four categories, pretty amazing in four categories, and then 3-pointers, he's just kind of right. He's a little bit of a negative, but not
Yeah,
super bad.
he's fine. He's perfectly fine. This is a tough. You're 100% right about this. I own Westbrook in a few leagues, and he is basically untradeable because and no one's really untradeable, but Westbrook is basically untradeable, and here's why: a guy who's averaging 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. You really can't do a one-for-one trade with for that guy unless you're getting a top player, because you're going to lose a ton of assists or you're going to lose a ton of rebounds, depending on how your team looks. So if you're already stacked in assists, maybe you can get rid of Westbrook, but you're going to take a real big hit in one of those three categories. But
I don't know that one.
Sorry, Alexa. See, Alexa doesn't even know who I can trade for. But on the flip side of that, he's going to kill whoever you're trading turnover and free throw. And really, he's been having a decent second half in free throw in field goal percentage, but he's still gonna really put a hit on you in that as well. So it's really almost impossible to trade from because you're either not getting you're never going to get a replacement for Westbrook on your team because no one's going to take him for who would replace him. He's a tough guy to own. And for that reason, I'm not going to pick Westbrook in our draft because I'm going to go with someone who is having a fantastic year, who's going to do a lot of the same things, but is going to give me another huge boost in 3 pointers because I know you're stacking them three
Oh
pointers
no,
up.
Michael, don't do it. Don't do
And
it.
he is in a roto league one of the best free throw percentage guys. And I also need that boost in points because I took Karl Anthony Towns. His name is Damian Lillard, and he
Michael.
is sick with it this year. And I'm plenty pleased with having Damian Lillard on my team.
Oh man, that was the man I wanted. I waited
That's
too long on
you
Mr.
waited
Lillard.
you waited too long, sir.
I will
No,
counter with some Kyrie Irving.
that's
I feel,
fair.
I feel like we're getting kind of similar players there, right?
Very similar.
Um,
I'd
so I'm
have to give the nod. I'd have to give the nod to Damian Lillard, but Kyrie is having a very good field goal percentage here.
yeah, and what's crazy about those two, right, is like if you look at the Roto rankings so far this year for 9 Cat, they're 12th and 13th on the season, so they are two very similar point guards.
Right next to
Um,
each other.
and for my next pick, I'm gonna have to do it. I've been debating this,
Don't
right?
do it.
Do I go for Oladipo?
Don't do it.
Do I go for Westbrook? Right? You mentioned Westbrook. Maybe it's
Don't do
him.
it.
Do I go for Joel Embiid? Ooh,
Don't
could
do
be
it.
JoJo's time.
This better not be misdirection. Don't do it.
Oh man, I'm going to go for Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, wow. You're getting scared of how many blocks I got. And now you got to double up on them blocks. Tyler, I think I just won this league.
Dude, no. Porzingis has got you on the rope, son.
Kristaps, you see, you're worried about my blocks and you're worried about my rebounds, and Kristaps is going to help you
I
there.
am beating you in blocks, man. I don't know what you're
You're beating me in
smoking.
blocks for now. That's true.
I don't know what you're smoking, man.
Beating
I
me
got
in blocks
Boogie.
for
I
now.
got Durant. I got Porzingis. I
I'm
got you.
gonna. All right, those are good picks. Those are two very good picks. Kristaps Porzingis is having a. You know what? I feel like he's having an underrated year, even though he made the All Star team. I don't hear a lot about Kristaps just in general, or even in fantasy wise. I don't hear a lot about him, and I'm actually surprised by that. I'm
Yeah, I
not.
know.
What does he
It's
have? Little over two blocks a game. Yeah,
it's crazy that he plays for the Knicks and like no one is talking about him. That's
yeah.
that's what's crazy to me.
Nobody cares.
Because like when Carmelo played for the Knicks, all you heard about was Carmelo did this, Carmelo that, Carmelo, and now like they have a better player, and there's just nothing.
Well, I'm very pleased that you went with Kristaps Porzingis because I feel very comfortable with my centers, my big men, AD and Cat up there just dominating everybody. I'm gonna go with the cream of the crop, the most versatile players out there. One's a guard forward, one's a guard. They're doing very similar things this year. They are across the board some of the best roto players you can pick. I am taking Victor Oladipo and LeBron James's father, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is an amazing 9 Cat roto player. Not a lot of respect for either one of those guys, I think. And if you look at the way they're ranked this year per game, Jimmy Butler is ninth and Victor Oladipo is 10th.
Well, I'm winning this. Butler's going to be out, man. I'm winning this. It's over.
Broken knee rest of the year.
Yep, it's it.
I'm telling you, both of those guys do everything. Each one of them averages 2 steals a game. I'm destroying you in steals right now. They get great percentages. They don't turn the ball over a lot. I'm winning turnovers already. And then they do everything else where they don't hurt you. They're actually a little bit of an extra. Oladipo's almost getting a block a game. Jimmy's almost a half a block a game. 5 assists, 4 assists. It's not 1 assist, not 2 assists. 5 rebounds each. Cool. 24 points, 21 points. I just won the league, Tyler. It's over.
Nope. I'm coming back with some Draymond Green.
Ooh.
I'm getting green.
I'm definitely winning points now.
Oh, no way you're winning points. I mean, now come on, you're crazy. You're talking out your butt.
I like Draymond though. That's a good pick.
And I'm going with the process himself, Joel Embiid.
Ooh. Oh, that was an excellent pick. I like both those picks. Joel Embiid really trying to get corner the market on those blocks, huh?
Dude, it's over. Blocks is my category. I have dominated you in blocks. I feel like I've dominated you in many categories, including rebounds.
I disagree. We're gonna have to run this through the up till this date. It'll be interesting. I'm gonna run the numbers, and on the next show we will announce who, on average, has the better team. Who's gonna win the most categories? So we'll figure this out.
This is from today going forward, so you have to wait till the end.
No, this is not. This is from the rest of the season. The rest of the season.
Oh, well, I didn't know
first part
that.
of the season.
I would have picked Oladipo way before now then. I assumed it was for the rest of the year, not what happened already.
We could do the rest of the year. That can be figured out. We'll have to wait till the end of the year, though, and that's perfectly fine. We'll do that.
Because Oladipo is a top 10 player in 9 category leagues so far.
Sure.
That doesn't mean that that's going to stay.
I completely agree. I have more faith in I obviously have a ton of faith in Jimmy Butler. I have more faith in Oladipo having a good second half than Embiid, who mysteriously disappears every once in a while. But yeah, we'll do it for the rest of the year. We'll see what happens. So
I've got you beat then. For the rest of the year, I am dominating you.
This is when it's going to get a little tough down here, I think. There's man, what to do? These are hard decisions down here at the bottom of this all-star roster. Man, who do we got left? We got Westbrook. Here are the guards we got left: Westbrook and Lowry. Got Clay and DeRozan. Got Bradley Beal and John Wall. John Wall, what a terrible season he's having. I can't believe he made the All-Star team.
Hashtag East, man.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, we only have 3 bigs left, Tyler. You just took 2 of them. We had 5, now we got 3. So that's I'm a little you might have made the right move there, because now I'm getting a little nervous about how many bigs are left on the board here.
I'm cornering the market on those big men.
I noticed. Ooh. So at this point, do I just go, well, you can have all the bigs, I'll take all the guards. And maybe I'm going to have to I'm going to reverse exactly what I just did. and beef up I just beefed up my field goal percentage. I'm about to destroy it. And my free throw percentage. Oh boy. I'm doing it. I'm getting the one guard that can get you 10 rebounds a game. His name is Russell Westbrook. He's averaging a triple-double.
I got you beat now. It's all over but the crying.
I'm destroying you in steals.
You can have steals, man, because you picked a good rebounding guard, but I've got you beating rebounds, and you just killed your free throw percentage to below mine, which that was a big boost to me, that Westbrook pick.
I think it was. I think I can suffer through.
But here's the thing: if Westbrook gets back to his free throw percentage he shot for his entire career before this year, you're now dominating me.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's a gamble. It's a gamble of a pick.
And I have Damian Lillard, who's one of the best free throw shooters, especially in volume. Same with James Harden. Jimmy Butler
also got LeBron, who's not good.
But I do have LeBron, who's not that great. And that's That to me is it's rough. It's rough in my opinion. I think in order to counteract that, ooh, this is a tough choice. This next choice, tough choice. Let's see. Who do I want? It's between two guys. One is having a great year, and the other one's just having a normal but secretly excellent year. Hmm. These are the toughest choices down here at the bottom. I am going to go with another incredibly versatile player. I'm gonna go with DeMar DeRozan.
I feel like that he was probably going to be in my next selection, so that was a good choice by you.
He is having a fantastic year. I think he can close out the year doing the same stuff he's been doing. He bumps my free throws back up with his volume of free throws that he takes, low turnovers. He learned how to shoot a three this year, so it's not a complete dud in three pointers. And the guys, he does all the little things too. 24 points is a ton of points, but 4 rebounds and 5 assists. That's just like Oladipo. That's just like Jimmy Butler. And over time, those three guys are going to add up. You might have, all these other dudes who get good, Draymond, whatever. I got LeBron doing his thing, almost getting a triple double. I got Westbrook actually getting a triple double, and I got Butler, Oladipo, and DeRozan just cranking out 15 rebounds and 15 assists every night. It's over, Tyler. It's over.
I've got you crushed in assists, man. I don't know what you're smoking again.
Oh my gosh! All right,
I mean,
you're up.
So there's 7 players left on the board, right?
2, 4, 6, 7 players left on the board.
And none of them are options like we've picked in the past. I feel like there's a lot of pretty gambly type players, right? Kyle Lowry could just be
completely fall off the
second
map.
Half. Bradley Beal could be just gone for the rest of the season at any
He
moment.
could disintegrate.
So not. You mentioned John Wall, right? John Wall's been pretty bad for this first half of the season.
John Wall might be the last pick in this draft.
John Wall, the 65th player, behind names like Thaddeus Young and Taj Gibson in 9 category leagues.
Oof.
That is not pretty.
Brutal percentages. I mean, can we pass? Can we pass on John Wall? He's getting you 9 assists and destroying everything else you're doing.
So I'm going to go with a very safe player, right? Okay, I feel like I'm in the lead. I'm going to go with the safety of one Mr. Klay Thompson.
It's not true, but that's a great pick.
For my next pick, things are getting hairy for me, and I don't really want to have any of these players. But I'm going to go with LaMarcus Aldridge just because I think that Kawhi Leonard stays out and LaMarcus stays strong.
One of our least favorite picks coming into this season, who is currently ranked 20th in 9-cat leagues. Every night in and night out, great percentages, low turnovers. Good pick. It's a very good pick. Those are very safe picks. Those guys seem to perform exactly what they need to do every single night. I like what you did there. Well, if you were gonna go, I was gonna go Klay, so that was a great pick. So I'm gonna go with Klay Jr., which is just Bradley Beal. And man, that's terrible. I'm gonna get stuck with John Wall, huh?
So
last pick in the draft.
We got John Wall and Kevin Love. They're the only 2 left from Team LeBron.
And Mr. Al Horford and
Kyle Lowry. Yes.
This might seem like a strange pick, but this dude
this is a dude
is underrated. This dude is underrated in all leagues, especially in 9-cat leagues. He doesn't turn the ball over. He does and he gets very, very high assists for a center. His name is
Oh,
Al Horford, and that is who I'm going to take with my second pick.
I feel like that is a win for me because I had Kevin Love ranked over Al Horford on my big board.
Ooh,
So I am taking Mr. Love, my first
I
selection.
I would put a side bet for rest of the year. Who's going to have a better year, Horford or Love? I mean, I'm going to go with Horford.
Oh no, it's Mr. Kevin Love for sure.
Don't do it to me. You need
So
assists,
wow,
man. You're dying in assists. You need assists.
dude, I'm crushing you in assists. Are you high right now?
It might be.
I don't want Kyle Lowry, man. I don't want it.
You don't take him.
But I feel like he's the best player left. You got Lowry. Oh man, jeez,
Don't
this is
take him.
also. Or John Wall. They're the only two players left. They're the only two
Those
options
are
I get.
those are your only two options.
Oh God, can I punt on both? I'll have Kyle Lowry, I suppose.
I knew it. I knew you were going to do it. And I'm going to not take John Wall. He's going to be on the waivers. And I'm going to
There
play.
are
I'm going
no
to play one
waivers.
person down.
There are no waivers in an All-Star draft.
Listen, it's a roto league, and
You're benching him in every game.
he's not going to play. He's not going to play. I got
Nope,
a games
every
limit. He's not
man
going to play.
must play.
No, it's not how this is going to work. Um, you know what? I like this. I like this idea for the rest of the year. Right before the All Star game, though, might be interesting to do a draft for just the All Star game.
Oh, we are definitely doing that on All-Star Week.
That sounds like a lot of fun. So definitely tune in for that. Um, we are going to tweet
And
out.
we'll
No, go
just do
ahead.
some sort of crazy point scoring. We can even do the standard the new standard fantasy point scoring if you want,
The
just for the All-Star
NBA.com
game. Yeah.
point scoring. Not the worst idea. Yeah, we're gonna do a draft for just the All Star game because that's always fun too. If you guys want to play along and or send us suggestions, you can find us on Twitter. Tyler, what's your Twitter handle?
You can find me at Watsy4444.
And you can find me at Watch the Boxes. We will post the results of this draft to make sure everybody can follow along at home. And I'm excited. I think I have the best team here. No matter what, the whole draft idea around the All Star game is like the best idea they've come up with in ages.
I
It's
will
brilliant.
admit, I will admit you may have the best team because Basketball Monster let me down by putting this huge out next to Jimmy Butler. So and it's in red, and I overlooked his name. So that pick alone may have given you the win.
I was afraid he would not fall that far, and he did, and I'm plenty happy about it.
You know I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan. So
Everybody loves Jimmy Butler except for LeBron because
and the Bulls.
and the
The Bulls
Garpax and
organization.
the
Yeah.
Bulls organization, and then also LeBron because Jimmy was a very strict father when LeBron was young, and I don't think he ever got over that. So
But I feel like you're John Wall with your last pick.
he's sitting on
May
the
sink
bench.
you may sink you can't sit anyone. Everyone must play.
He's John Wall might have ruined the entire team. You draft perfectly, and you draft one a hole and ruin your entire team.
You ruined it.
Um, all right, Tyler, do you have anything to plug? You got anything out there that people need to read?
No. There is plenty of content of mine you can read if you follow me on Twitter. I usually tweet it all out. But other than that, I don't have anything. You have a new article this weekend you will see from me on the fantasy basketball schedule if that is your thing.
That is a lot of people's things. People really care about the schedule. Next week, we are going to do an episode about the upcoming playoffs. So be sure to tune in for that. And if you like what you are hearing, please rate us, review us on wherever you are listening to this podcast currently. We really appreciate that. Tweet at us with your feedback if you got questions about your team, questions you want to hear on the show, or anything else. And if you play daily fantasy basketball, do us a favor, draft.com. the best place to play daily fantasy. It's different daily fantasy. It's a snake draft before each game. Use that promo code boxes. That also helps us out and it allows us to keep putting out this content. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and have a good night.